Shanti, Sister Jayanti.
Shanti.
And welcome to everyone. And when I was thinking that Brahmins actually, because of Baba's routine, they become very disciplined. And so, like with these meetings, it's amazing how everybody's love and dedication to attend these meetings. And I know that even though they aren't here, then they set a time for themselves later. So some see it at then 6 o'clock UK time or 9 o'clock UK time. So anyway, kudos to all the Brahmin family for your discipline.
Absolutely. So shall I begin?
Please. Yeah, thank you.
Om Shanti to everyone. And yes, it's lovely to see so many of you join this particular session. And this time, it was the last Murli of the season. And Baba made it very clear that things would be different afterwards. But let's go through the Murli and we'll get to that also. And so Baba was seeing the love with which everybody had come from around the world. And it was a large group, several hundreds that had come to Madhuban in the month of March, the end of March. And Baba was seeing the love with which they had come. And the flame was speaking to all the moths who were there. And even those who weren't physically present but were far away. And Baba was saying that everybody has sacrificed themselves to a certain extent, but of course it's number-wise. And the moths surrender to the flame and the flame surrenders to the moth. But there are two types of moths. One, those who have love. And secondly, those who have love from the heart. And it's fascinating for me to see how royal Baba's language is always. Baba's not even saying you are number one, you are number two, but Baba's saying everybody has love. And of course, that's beautiful. But then there are some who have love from the heart. And so Baba then explained it further, that those who have love from the heart are then the ones who actually want to become like the flame. And they sacrifice everything to become Bap Saman, like the Father. And within that, the ones who have love from the heart are the ones who absorb everything that Baba's saying within their hearts. And because it's in their hearts, then it also comes through into their thoughts and words and actions. And there are those who have love, but it's just love. And yes, they take in what Baba is saying, but then they have the question, because some of it is going into their heart and some of it is going to their heads. And so they have questions such as, will I be able to do it? Maybe I won't. Oh, well, maybe time will take care of it and it'll happen according to time. And so they're not actually making that commitment. And of course, those who have love from the heart are able to understand what are the deep feelings in Baba's heart for us, the hopes that Baba has in us, and from their hearts, they want to be able to fulfill those hopes that Baba has for all of us. So very, very interesting first passage describing all of these things which require a lot of deep introspection to see which category am I in. And yes, I can move from love, just simply love, to the one who has love from the heart, nurturing that love and allowing that flame of love to grow brighter and brighter means that, yes, I can get to that point where it is love from the heart. And yes, in order to become a Brahmin, there's a certain amount of sacrifice that's needed. Sacrifice of sleep, your favorite foods maybe, your timetable, different things. But the sacrifice that Baba's looking at that can really allow us to become like the Father is the sacrifice of the consciousness of I, whether that I is one of arrogance or whether it's the one of weakness. But both types of I interfere in being able to become like the Father. And so Baba reminding us that it's this sacrifice of I which can actually make us become like the Father. And then Baba reminded us that for 6 months, from October through to the end of March, Baba has given us so much. Baba gave us blessings, Baba gave us insights, Baba gave us love, Baba gave us power. And now Baba's wanting to see the results. To what extent are we able to fulfill Baba's hopes for us? And in what way are we going to be able to do this? And so, yes, it's very easy to have pure, elevated thoughts. But to what extent is that being translated into our words and our actions? In terms of our thoughts, yes, it's easy to have loving, good wishes and pure feelings for all. But then when it comes to words and actions, which are the mirror of what's going on in my mind, is that actually being revealed in the way that it should? And Baba pointed out that in yoga, everybody pays attention. And yes, in that atmosphere of silence, there's that attention on the quality of my thinking. I'm having a heart-to-heart conversation with Baba. And in that conversation, it's a sweet conversation. But when I come into action and I'm part of a gathering, a little gathering or a big gathering, then sometimes where there's a difference of opinion, difference of ideas, there's a possibility of conflict. And then our words are not as sweet as they could be or should be. And then this even impacts my conversation with Baba. And I say to Baba, Baba, why is this happening? It shouldn't be like this. And okay, at least that's a sweet exchange with Baba. But then when it actually comes into words with others, my words don't always indicate that translation of pure thoughts and good wishes and pure feelings into the way I deal with others around me. And yes, the power of yoga is brilliant. That's very important, because that'll then allow me to become an easy yogi, a natural yogi, and even a good, easy karma yogi. But the translation of this is very important into my words and my actions. And then Baba gave us a very clear example. Baba said, when you meet others, what you're saying are the words, the words of Baba's knowledge. And so people will say, this is good, this is nice, it's very good. But where the arrow doesn't actually hit the target of the heart, what's the reason for this? Your words are very nice, and they'll also say, this is very good, this is very nice. But the arrow doesn't carry that magic ingredient of power. And so it doesn't strike the target. And the reason is that when Baba was looking at our charts, Baba could see that we lacked power in our words because there was a lot of wasteful words that were being spoken. And then Baba said, should Baba make you laugh? And yes, we are open to that. And so Baba said, Baba has a savings box for every single soul in the subtle region. And in fact, not just one savings box, 3 savings boxes for each and every child. Can you imagine the lineup? for the subtle region is subtle, and so no problem for Baba. And within that, there's a box in which there's the accumulation of our pure thoughts, good wishes, pure feelings. And then there's a second box in which our words that have power of good wishes and pure thoughts for others, if our words are being translated in that way, there's a box for that too. And then there's a third box when our actions reveal all of these qualities also. And Baba said, just as when Brahma Baba would speak, it would be always with sweetness and would be always filled with giving of respect. And I was asked the question whether it's self-respect or giving respect, and both things are absolutely interconnected. If I have self-respect and I'm speaking with self-respect, what is the quality of my words for you? It'll be filled with respect. But equally, if I'm speaking respectfully to you, it's because I have within myself that inner dignity of self-respect. This is why my words are expressed in this way. So both are absolutely interdependent. And Baba said that this is why Brahma Baba was able to win the hearts of young and old, everyone. And it reminded me of how when we have seniors, it's easy to speak to them with respect. But what about my equals? And most of all, what about my juniors? Those who are younger than me, younger in age, younger on the path of the experience of yoga, whatever. But those who are younger than me, to what extent am I able to speak to them in the same way, with sweetness, with respect? And so this is the way Baba speaks, and so this is what I must do if I want to become like the Father. Baba again remembered little children and how when there are little children, you give them a money box, and when you pick it up, it feels quite heavy. But it's got a lot of copper in it, a lot of coins in it, pennies. So instead of something that's really substantial, it's pennies, and it's fine, but it's heavy, but it's filled with just pennies. And so when Baba looked at our savings boxes, Baba saw that it was heavy, but it was not so valuable, not so filled with treasures. And the reason is that our words were not meaningful, fruitful. Our words were wasteful. And Baba said, wasteful words, ordinary words, same thing, not that much difference. So it's words without truth behind them, words without reality, words which don't really have any purpose. So Baba gave all those different ideas. And Baba said, if your thoughts are pure and powerful, then let your words also reflect the same. Speak less, speak sweetly, and speak with respect. And so these three messages that Baba gave us. And so is this what I'm doing? How many words do I use? There's bound to be a lot of exchange in terms of activity. We're doing so many things together. But can I use 4 words instead of 24 words to get my business done? If it's clear in my mind and I know what I want to say, and there isn't the fluff of waste going on in my mind, then I'll get to the point, less words, sweetly, respectfully. And so the combination of all of this means, yes, you can get a message across in 4 words rather than 24. And so what happens to the other 20? They weren't really necessary. They were ordinary or they were wasteful. So Baba picking up a lot on this whole idea of how am I using words and what is the type of karma that I'm doing. Baba also commented on the fact that when we get together, we make great plans, very good plans. And yes, all those plans have been excellent for world benefit. And of course, this is still the time that we're preparing for global cooperation for a better world. And within all of that, yes, Baba is seeing that there has been good success. But Baba wants to see success on 3 levels. And this time, Baba brought in a very different context. Baba said, if what you're doing is really successful, then you can see, am I content? And this would be service of the self. The service that I'm engaged in, whatever it is I do, should be bringing me contentment within myself. And then secondly, it should be bringing me contentment in terms of the family. Others should be content with me and me with them. And so that's service of the gathering. And then thirdly, yes, service of the world out there. And that, of course, then if the words are powerful and filled with that truth, then those words will also be very successful in terms of not just giving a message to people. Baba wanted it to be a bit more than that. Baba said, so far you've been thinking of giving a message to the world, but now let it be something further. And Baba gave a very practical outline of what we should be doing over the next 6 months. Baba said, and of course, in those days, we had a little form in which we were asking people to write their vision of a better world, how they see themselves in the better world, how they see others in the better world, relationships in the better world. So this was the form that Baba kept mentioning yesterday. And so within that, Baba said, don't just serve them to the extent that they fill in a form. Create a connection with them. Sustain them so that it's not just a connection, it's a relationship, so that then truly they're able to come closer to God. And so what sometimes happens is that we think, okay, they filled in a form, that's it, finished, done. But no, that's only the starting point of service. I haven't served them sufficiently to be able to bring them closer to God in connection and relationship with God directly. I've also mentioned how when you do this type of service, then there'll be little groups that will be formed, and you don't have to have massive programs. Let it be small programs, but let it be programs in which those souls who have come closer would be able to support you and help you and come closer to you through those programs. And I was remembering a few souls that I know of personally who came closer through global cooperation and became Brahmins, and they've been very key figures in terms of service in different places in the world. And so Baba had outlined what we should do, and these souls actually did come very close to Baba and are still very much with Baba doing service. Baba also mentioned how so far you organize things, you give the lectures, but we're moving into a different phase when those who have benefited from their relationship with Baba, they will speak on your behalf. They will organize the programs. And all they want from you, because they can give the lectures now, you prepare them to such an extent that they can speak Baba's knowledge. And people are more likely to listen to them than they would have listened to you. But all they want from you are drishti and a few words of blessings. That is all. But when you have created that stage in which you've been accumulating power and purity in your thoughts and words and actions, then you'll see all of this happen. And so I'm sure that we're now at that point where we're beginning to see this in many places across the world, but more and more of that. You don't need a silver chair like Shankaracharya, and he's given a silver chair wherever he goes. But no, they will give you the chair of being worship worthy. Just imagine a very, very elevated position that Baba's talking about. And so all of that was very much to do with the plans for service. And yes, in Bharat and outside, everyone has been doing very good service, and you'll continue to do that. So Baba was lavishing praise on everyone. Baba also gave us very clear mirror of what we need to do. And then Baba was saying that Baba wants to see all of you engaged in service of this quality, with the results on these three levels of contentment for the self and others and the gathering and the world out there. But Baba was saying, you won't be coming to Madhuban this season. No need. Just do the service that you need to do out there. And Baba will be watching the results. And the next time that Baba comes, Baba wants to see a gathering of angels, that you speak like angels, that you behave with each other like angels, that you walk like angels. It should be a unique, powerfully spiritual gathering. And of course, whoever was listening at that time in the gathering, why is Baba saying that you won't be coming to Madhuban this season, next season? And so all of that was going on. Baba said, Baba turned night into day, and Baba continued to serve you, sharing all blessings with you. And yes, Madhuban Nivasis were there too. So Baba told them that there are some of you who haven't had that chance of personal meetings, but Baba will make sure that that happens also. But Baba, having served you to this extent, now Baba's wanting you to be able to give the proof of what you've taken. And then Baba also mentioned that Madhuban has to be the first place that is actually able to reveal this saving scheme. Baba had commented on how the government kept having saving schemes, and so this was God's saving scheme. And so Madhuban Nivasis are where everybody's vision falls, and so hopefully they'll be the ones who'll be the example, and others will be able to see and follow. But of course, anyone can be an example. And if you become an example for others, you receive extra blessings for that. So take the initiative and be like Arjuna, the number one. And so Baba encouraging us for that also. And then Baba went into a whole series of thank yous, congratulations and thank yous. Thank yous to the Sevadharis who had served tirelessly. Thank you to the Madhuban Nivasis who have also been serving. Thank you to all the instruments who were the instruments to sustain and support. And Baba was looking at all the daddies because they were the main ones who were teaching at that point. Other teachers came on the scene a bit later, but at that point, all the classes used to be conducted specifically by the daddies, and of course, personal meetings with the daddies. So Baba was thanking all of them. And Baba was thanking everyone who had come to Madhuban and had taken blessings. And Baba thanked the chariot also. And then Baba said, but anyway, all of you have received blessings, and the feet of those who are blessed will always continue to experience blessings with every step that they take. Every step they take is filled with blessings. And yes, those who have blessings merged in their heart will be the ones who have a heart that's happy and light and filled with enthusiasm, and they won't find any obstacles in their path. They'll be able to surmount anything. Nothing is going to be able to stop them. So that was, again, another very beautiful blessing that Baba gave. So lots and lots of blessings. And then, of course, Baba took leave from the gathering. But the daddies were there on the stage. And then we saw a very interesting scene of Dadiji asking Baba, Baba, what do you mean? Do you mean you're not coming? And Baba went like this. And Daddy's face was shocked. And she said, but please, Baba, please, Baba. And Baba was adamant. And within the passage earlier, there had been one sentence that really struck me. What is accepted by drama has to be accepted by us. And so this is the scene that's fixed in drama, that Baba isn't going to come the next season. And so what is acceptable to drama has to be acceptable to all of us also. I think it's a mantra that we should underline here, because sometimes we try to shake drama and think we are right. Hey, hold on, who is right? Is it drama or is it me? It's me that's fluctuating, not drama. Drama is set on its course and is moving absolutely in the right direction, straight, straight, straight. And next morning, Daddy was a bit sad, and I've never seen her sad before that or after that. And she was a bit glum. We tried to persuade Baba to come, but Baba, I didn't sleep all night, and I kept thinking, how can Baba not come? And then she had another thought, and she said, she looked around at all of us, and she pointed her finger to all of us. Will all of you come, even if Baba doesn't come? All raised our hands. Very, very absolutely sure we'd come to Madhuban. And she said, why will you come? Baba's not coming. And somebody said, Daddy will come for you. Somebody said, Daddy will come because Madhuban is special. Many, many different answers. And as Daddy continued to hear all of these responses, her face was lighting up more and more, and she was radiant and she was smiling. And then she continued with the Murli. Otherwise, she picked up the Murli, but she then stopped and said to all of us, Baba's not coming. So it was a very interesting scene to observe. And of course, then when Daddy Gulzar went to Bombay, and we thought it's just a normal health check, which it was, but it turned out that she had cancer. She then had treatment, but within a year, she was fine. And she carried on for another 35 years being God's chariot. So on the one side, her tolerance capacity and perseverance and faith and courage, but on the other side, Baba's special help for her sacrifice and surrendering her chariot to Baba for all the hours that Baba needed. And in those days, many, many hours, 12 hours, 16 hours. And then later on, of course, everything changed. So no more personal meetings and then country meetings. And then we moved to Shantiban, and a whole different phase started of just Thrishti. And that's it. So we've been seeing the transition from Sakar Baba to Avyakt Baba, personal meetings, and then further and further and further until today. Now it just depends on each one and their own personal power to be able to connect with Baba up above and take as much as they wish from Baba, but also to experience that subtle stage. And nobody can interfere with that and say, you're taking too long. No, you can stay as long as you wish in that subtle dimension. And in that subtle experience, do all the things necessary here also. So, very powerful, Murli, telling us what we needed to do for that coming year.
Right, gentlemen, thank you so much. Do you have some kind of photographic memory or something? No, it's lovely. Gentlemen, I also took that as a takeaway. I also noted that what is acceptable to the drama must be accepted by you. And just a few others. The mirror of the power of your mind is your thoughts and words. And now make a plan to fulfill the Father's desires. That was also nice. And don't look at what others are doing, but make yourself an example. And then Gentleman Baba also said, right, if you were to tape your words for the whole day, then you will understand what Baba is saying. So that was also nice.
That's right.
I want to tell you that when I was a kid, I also had a piggy bank. And in those days, we were given 5 pence, 10 pence, right? That was silver. But when you go and spend it, then you get the copper back, right? 1 pence, 2 pence. But my piggy bank too, it felt really heavy. And I thought, okay, I'm going to be able to buy a teddy bear or a bicycle. But then when after opening it, it's like only 1 or 2 pounds, you know? So I totally relate to what Baba's saying. Okay, just a few things from the Murli further, gentlemen. Like Baba said, Baba actually emphasized Kurban, Jana, and Kurbani Karna. So we sacrifice to become a Brahmin, but then we have to also sacrifice our vices. Do you want to just explain a bit about that, go into the depth of that?
In terms of becoming a Brahmin, there's always sacrifice involved because you decide to follow purity, you decide to have early morning Amrit Vela, you decide to change your diet to a sattvic diet. So those are the basic requisites to be even a Brahmin. But then Baba's asking us to take it a big, big step beyond that. And that is, am I ready to sacrifice the ego of I or the weaknesses of I? And if I'm able to do this and truly just simply be soul conscious and have the connection of my heart with Baba's heart, so that my sacrifice is out of love, but it's out of the love of my heart that now I'm doing what Baba's asked me to do. Because I'm understanding with my heart what Baba wants of me. So to get to that stage, Baba's saying is then going to determine your stage number-wise. So to what extent have I been able to sacrifice the consciousness of I? And if you think about the troubles that we get in Brahman life, it's the I and my, and both things are connected. As soon as there's the I of this, then it's also my that comes in. And so my idea, my opinion, my plan, all of these things come in. Am I ready to sacrifice all of that? And know that it's God's plan that is working. And it's God's plan that is going to be manifest. So I don't have to hang on to my idea or my thought, my opinion. Yes, if there's something which is against Srimad, then that's clear. I mustn't do that. But apart from that, your idea, my idea, it's okay, whichever it is, because finally it's God's idea, God's plan that will actually be manifest.
Nice. And Gentleman Baba talked about saving the thoughts and the words. What is the method of saving action?
Mm-hmm. If I'm paying attention to the quality of my thoughts and my words, my actions will be filled with that goodness in which there is nothing but benevolence and good wishes and good feelings. Say, for example, I'm cooking, and on one level, it's a fairly simple task, but why am I cooking? Who am I cooking for? What is the purpose of all of this? And if I've got that going on in my mind, I'm cooking for Baba, I'm cooking for love for Baba, to offer to Baba so that then Baba's food can be shared with the family. It's also saving my karma. The other way, I'm thinking about 3 or 4 individuals. I'm cooking for them. I'm concerned about their well-being, which is fine. But it's not the same as cooking for God. And I could be at home, and my responsibility is to make sure that my family is well fed. But the change of consciousness, the change of my thinking is when I say, I'm actually cooking for Baba. I'm offering to Baba so that then Baba's food can help these souls come closer to Baba. And so they often talk about the way to a person's heart is through the tummy. And so if truly my food is filled with good taste, but also very specifically, if it's been cooked in that awareness of Baba's love, that I'm filling it with God's love, not just my love or my attachment, very different, but my love for Baba, so that it's cleansing their intellect also. And it's not just this physical heart, but it's the heart which is in the soul. Then yes, I'm taking that soul to God.
I'm not understanding. So how is it saving action?
One would be lokik, and it's not punya karma, it's just my duty, my responsibility. And so it's time lost. But I can change that into very elevated, pure karma. And so it's karma that is saved in my account of good deeds.
Yeah, so this is a discussion we were having here. Gentlemen, there's a difference between saving and accumulating, right?
No. Accumulation and saving is the same thing. I've got a bank account. I'm accumulating. I'm saving.
No, like you go shopping, you save £10, and then you deposit that in the bank. So then that's accumulating. But you could have spent it. You could have used that energy, but you saved it. So now then it becomes available to store, no? That's my thinking.
No, if I've used that £10 and I don't spend it on cosmetics and perfume and chocolates and things like that, then I have accumulated, I've saved it. So accumulation and saving, you can use the same word. But if I've used it for something which is necessary to feed my family, I've used it for something which is nourishing, which is important, then that karma that I'm doing, that good karma is put into my savings account. It's not physical money that I'm putting, but it is good karma. It's being used for benefit.
I understand it as punya. So it's punya done.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we'll move to the chat. I had another, topic, but I think we'll keep that for next week because there's lots of questions today. Actually, 3 people, gentlemen, have asked about Mama's Murli, in which Mama was talking about the subtle region in the copper age.
Yeah. Okay. I know that when I read it, I had to read it and stop and reflect on it and read it again. And then I understood what Mama is saying. And what Mama was saying there is that golden age, silver age, there is no such thing. A subtle region, no need. Souls will come straight down and be here to play their part. From the copper age, Bhagats start to have visions. And those visions are definitely something to do with the subtle region. But then the comment came, next sentence, but the role of Brahma, Vishnu, Shankar and God's work only happens when God comes down. And then first it's the creation of the deities, and then God comes here on earth. So my understanding of that was that the subtle region takes on a very different active role only in the confluence age, which is what Baba's explained to us. And I won't go into that. I think that's pretty clear. Establishment starts with the vision that Brahma Baba had and the understanding that he is Vishnu and so on and so on. And so Mama is only saying that the visions of the Copper Age also are belonging to that subtle dimension. They're not something physical, they're something subtle. And that's what Baba's been saying, but Mama's expression was a little bit different. But that's basically what she's saying. And then further, in Sangam Yug, that region, the subtle region, takes on a very powerful, active role.
Well, anyway, the question is, what is the experience of a spiritual mother's love? That's the question.
My mother was always concerned that I should come closer to Baba. And so she would want us to sit in the evening for a few minutes of meditation and a little bit of Murli. And our understanding of Hindi was anyway very scratchy. And our understanding of spirituality, I speak for myself, was practically zero. And so it wasn't making a lot of sense. And then as a spiritual mother, she was very aware that to put pressure and force wasn't going to work. And so she then let us be free. And she wouldn't insist that we sit with her for yoga and Murli or anything like that. But of course, it was there in her heart. And so then when she put it to Mama that she's not meditating and so, so then Mama said, leave her alone. And then to her credit, she did. And she didn't try to push me in any direction. So I see that spiritual love is where you offer something and you want your child to take benefit, but then at a certain point, you have the wisdom to step away and say, well, now it's the child's destiny. And so that's one example of spiritual love. Another one, she would cook with a lot of love. And of course, she was offering to Baba. And what she would say to us is that there's plenty, but make sure you don't leave anything on your plate. And so from knee high, we were told this, you have to keep whatever you put on your plate, you have to finish it. You can't leave it. And so I'm seeing that that sort of love and yet discipline was something that she was constantly juggling with and managing pretty well. So we learned never to leave anything on our plate, which I think in today's world, where I hear such horrible statistics of food being wasted, it's very sad. A part of the world, a huge part of the world where they don't have enough, and yet others where it gets wasted. So I was thinking that it was a very good discipline that she instilled in us from young age.
Upbringing is so important, gentlemen. Here's another question. Any guidance regarding what to keep our eyes on in service these days? Seeing the last few decades of service and also Corona times now. And also Baba talked about it today, find different methods for service.
I really feel that our stage is the most valuable thing that we bring to service, because then it's our stage that creates the vibration that others pick up. Because there's so many people who are motivational speakers, who are, coaches, life coaches, and some of the things they say are the things that we would also say, not everything, but a lot. And so what is it that's allowing them to feel, people to feel that there's a difference between this and whatever else is out there? And I think it's when we have that stage and we speak Baba's Gyan from our hearts with that experience, then that personal authority of experience comes in. And I think that's the most important thing to keep in mind. And the other thing is to try and be very inclusive, so that it's a message that's able to reach everyone, absolutely everyone. It's not exclusive in the terms of we're just trying to find Brahmins or souls of the golden age. Those souls are going to emerge and show themselves and want to know more and understand all the detail, definitely. But I think we should have that awareness of reaching out and keeping everything in a very inclusive way.
And somebody's asking, in the golden age, gentlemen, it will be the same calendar as now, the same 24 hours as now?
It'll definitely be the same 24 hours, but calendars and dates and deadlines, I have no idea. But definitely it'll be 24-hour cycle, and the deities will rise with the dawn and they'll go to sleep with sunset. So it'll be a very natural rhythm. You won't need alarm clocks to wake you up. You'll wake up with the singing of the birds and you'll go to sleep as you see the sun setting, and you'll know that it's time to put your head down and rest for a few hours.
Yeah, I think we're not looking at the clock. There's no clock, right? We're not looking at the clock. We're not racing against the clock.
Exactly.
Okay. Here's a question. I can't open it. So here's a question that if a BK owns a business and wants to sell it before the global economy collapses, would that be negative karma? To sell a business to a person who does not have gyan and so is unaware of the impending collapse?
I personally don't think so. Why? Because the person who's looking to buy a business is going to be wanting to buy either this or that or the other. And so I'm striking an honest deal. I have a business that I want to finish for whatever reason, and it's solid, it's good. I'm not cheating them, I'm not tricking them, and I can't make them understand that there's going to be a collapse. They can see how things are in terms of the state of the world. But also, I don't know whether it's 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. And so maybe they'll have a good run for their money. They'll be able to get whatever it is they need.
Right. And I'm tying two questions together, gentlemen. One is, how do you get over guilty feeling? And the other question is that, when you have heaviness after making some effort, and as Baba has said, that is like punishment. So how to get over that heaviness or guilty feeling?
We've taken up the subject of guilt before, but just very briefly now. If I have made a mistake, can I be honest with Baba and tell Baba and take Baba's help to change? And now, of course, the whole situation of talking to Baba and telling Baba is very different than it was before. But even now, to actually have the honesty to admit it to myself and know that, yes, this is what I've done, and to put that in front of Baba. If it involves other people, then I also need to acknowledge it to them and seek their forgiveness. And if it's not possible to connect with them, time has gone by, they're not around. But let me be honest with Baba and myself. And also, let me be very determined in my thought that I want to change this. And it's not just a fleeting thought, but it's absolutely a thought that I'm going to put into practice. I will not repeat such a mistake again. And I take the necessary power from Baba to be able to do that. And so the settling of that feeling is when I feel I have transformed. And yes, for sure, that mistake isn't going to be repeated. And so I have to have that commitment. And I'll then be able to free myself from that guilt through my transformation. And the heavy feeling that comes is partly because there's waste thoughts, ordinary thoughts, waste thoughts, instead of using my mind in the way Baba's been telling me. And partly, yes, if there's been a mistake that I've made, and so that also brings that heaviness. And so the mistake, and it's that process of transformation. And the heaviness, because of waste thoughts, can I identify what is the trigger for my waste thoughts? It's not many things. It's one or two, maybe three, usually not more than that. And so if I can start looking at those triggers and change my perspective about that individual who's causing those waste thoughts, or about the situation that keeps coming up and it leads me to waste thoughts, I'll then be able to stop having those waste thoughts and I'll become lighter.
Right, thank you. So maybe in connection with that, somebody's asking at this point regarding accepting what is in the drama, how do you see the emotion of grief? For EKs, is grief a weakness or a valid process of letting go?
Brahma Baba didn't experience grief in the way we know it, but I know that I had to go through a period of grief myself when Daddy Janki passed away. And I also knew that I had to make a shift. And I can't remember whether it was days. I think it was actually days. But drama kept me very, very occupied. And it was a blessing because then I was able to, and all the interviews I was having at that time were interviews about stories about Daddy. I was in Madhuban. And so I found that as I was reliving those stories, I was reminding myself of how much benefit I've taken from that soul. And so it helped me take a leap further. Now, that's one particular situation. But I know that for others also, what has helped them tremendously is when they've understood. And there was a particular situation that was quite tragic. And I was dealing with a couple, parents who'd lost a 19-year-old son in a car accident in which he was a pedestrian, but the car just hit him and the driver ran. Later, the police did catch him. But they were filled with a huge amount of grief and really couldn't see their way out of it. And as we spoke, I reminded them that their thoughts are reaching the one that they loved. And that soul was still alive. It hadn't gone. The body was gone, but the soul was there. And if they were to now think about expressing their love differently, in that the child, the soul in the new fetus in the mother's womb was catching their vibrations, and their grief was creating a disturbance. But if every time they remember their child, they would remember God and send that soul God's light and love, it would bring comfort to that soul and it would help the soul on its journey. And so when they started to understand this, then they began to calm down. Especially the mother was quite distraught. But hearing this, she calmed down. And the father also was nodding his head in agreement. And so I think that we have to understand what grief is doing, not just to me and my health, but also to the immediate family around me that is still with me. But also, what is it doing to the one who has departed? It's creating upheaval and distress for that soul. And so we have to learn to deal with it.
Yeah, very nice, gentlemen. It's not easy. I think as we practice and it becomes part of our blood. I mean, I think for Baba, they really made it their core, this aspect of soul consciousness, which is why then when things happen, they were already prepared. So thank you so much. Thank you to everyone. We will have meditation now. Thank you, Sister Jenny.
Okay, Om Shanti. Thank you to Runaben and to all of you.
I am not alone, but guided by the one, my Mother Earth below me, my Father shining sun. Into the dark I go, but I will never run. I walk with those who know me, invoke my guardian. There I face the demons who torment humanity, and with my love I free them, bring them back to the frequency. Oh, I can hear them pleading, because the truth is their suffering. And with the light inside and all my guides, I hold the key. We hold the key. What's the point in having so much light if we never bring it to the night? When the path is clear, then surely we will know that there can never be light without the shadow. No, there can never